Football, presented by Old Trapper.
That's right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Halfway through our week, this much closer to the divisional round for the NFL playoffs. Jamie Manti, Mike Garafolo, and Kyle Brandt are out in New York. Listen, we love to celebrate the playoffs. We love every single minute of postseason play. But then there's this other thing that's just looming, and we have to talk about it, and we can't not look at it. And that is the massive amount of coaching changes that have been made, not only at the coordinator level this offseason already, but at the head coaching spot and in major organizations as well. Ian Rappaport joining us now here on Good Morning Football. Rap sheet, add Pittsburgh to the list. What went down yesterday so we can set the table for the change in Steel City?
After months of rumors, weeks of rumors, Mike Tomlin at 2 p.m. yesterday Eastern walked into a team meeting and informed his players what he had informed owner Art Rooney just minutes before, that he was stepping down as Steelers coach officially for Mike Tomlin, who, of course, has been under fire this year for struggling toward the end of the season, then ended up with an over 500 record, as he always does, 10-7, made the playoffs. Another playoff loss led to him walking off the field Monday night against the Houston Texans to chance to fire Tomlin, and he just wondered, when would enough be enough? When would the guy who gave everything to the Steelers, who returned them or kept them at respectability, really one of the more respected coaches around and one of the best franchises around, when would Mike Tomlin say that it is it? That time was yesterday. There have been murmurs really for a long time. We have talked about it plenty, that Mike Tomlin would step away and then do television. My understanding is that is firmly in his sights. Nothing firm and final yet, but certainly that is a possibility. I know several networks have offers out to him in anticipation of this. But for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the most important thing, Tomlin is now out, and they need a new head coach.
Add him to the list. Ian Rappaport, thank you very much. Listen, it's an incredible organization, and now our sights turn to who fills that spot at head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. In Mike Tomlin's first 4 years with Pittsburgh, he had 5 playoff wins and 2 Super Bowl appearances. In his final 15 years, no Super Bowls and just 3 playoff wins. That's the part of the rumor mill that fed Mike Tomlin's name constantly. Yesterday, a division foe, Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti, who was also on the lookout for a new head coach, was actively informed of the Tomlin news during his end-of-season press conference. And hear what Mr. Bisciotti had to say.
Mike Tomlin stepped down at Pittsburgh.
He did? Is it official?
That's what I keep hearing. So, is he a candidate here?
Holy Mike, wouldn't that be awesome? Only if John takes the Pittsburgh job. Wow, wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know, that thing last week maybe disqualified him for my opening after our kicker missed a kick to let them advance. Good for Mike.
We love an unfiltered moment. Congratulations, as Mr. Bisciotti so eloquently said, to Mike Tomlin in his 19 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We always talk about it. Kyle Brandt was in Latrobe, Pennsylvania last offseason to talk to Coach Tomlin about this streak, which is the most consecutive non-losing seasons. An incredible accomplishment, tying himself with Bill Belichick just behind Tom Landry. Right, so Manti, news broke yesterday afternoon. And we already know the vacancies, but this one is different when you consider this name and the team that he is now walking away from.
Well, you just mentioned there's been so many people, Jamie, that have been let go with their head coaching positions. But for some reason, when Mike Tomlin stepped down, you go on social media and there's all of these memory reels that are out there about Mike. Some of those moments between training camp, between his players, and for somebody who's never played for Mike Tomlin, I played against him. I've heard the stories from former player Stephon Tuitt, who was a teammate of mine at Notre Dame, who played for him. Troy Polamalu, who he's like one of my big brothers, that he's told me about stories about Mike Tomlin. I felt like, for me, I would love to play for somebody like Mike Tomlin, just watching all of those videos, all of those clips, all of the memories, all of the things that he used to do on the sideline, in the locker rooms, you know, at training camp. Just one of the best leaders of men. And I think that you could see the growth that he's had, not only as a coach, but with the growth that he helped with some of his guys throughout the league. So definitely a guy that's going to be missed in Pittsburgh. And if he comes on TV, awesome. You know, whatever family he joins there, if he continues to coach, because he did step down, you do have to trade for the man. that's going to be awesome as well. So I wish him the best of luck, but he will be missed in Pittsburgh, Mike G.
A lot of times these things are easy, Manti. Even in the case of John Harbaugh, we just showed Steve Bisciotti there. We knew that that was a firing. We knew that the Ravens had decided for some reason that it was time to move on, and Bisciotti made that clear yesterday. This one's a little tougher because we haven't heard from Mike Tomlin. And until I hear from Mike Tomlin, they didn't have any season where they went 3-14 and had the first, second, or third overall pick in the draft. They had to take Kenny Pickett in a year where there wasn't any other quarterback, and who knows where Pickett winds up going if the Steelers don't take him in that one. They had to go for Mitchell Trubisky. They had to go for Aaron Rodgers in this case. They had to take a couple of swings at the quarterback position that weren't, here's our franchise guy, we feel good about Cam Ward or Caleb Williams or any of these guys. They tried Russ. I forgot about him. How did you forget about Russ?
Fields.
So is this one of those, Justin Fields, is this one of those where Tomlin's taking a step back and saying, oh, let me see if I can go somewhere else and maybe restart this and not just go 9-8 or 10-7 and lose in the first round every single year? We need to hear from Mike Tomlin on this one. And if, Manti, you talk about it, him going elsewhere or whatever, going in the broadcasting, if he decides to go elsewhere, let's make it clear. The Steelers didn't fire him. He's under contract. So if you want Mike Tomlin, whether it's this year or next year or whatever, you have to provide some compensation to the team. It's going to have to be a Sean Payton-like trade to make that happen. That's a key part of this process as well. So we need to hear from Tomlin. We need to know what's going to happen here. If he goes into broadcasting, Kyle, I think at least it makes it clear that he needs to take a step back and catch his breath here.
Mike, can you continue to clarify that? Because whatever, let's say he's got 3 years left. Does the clock keep going, or does it pause while he's away from the team and then it restarts when he wants to return to coaching? How does that work with some of these coaching contracts?
Steelers have him under contract. They didn't fire him. It's what happened in New Orleans with Sean Payton. Remember, he took that year at the broadcasting, and then when he came back, New Orleans said, great, give us our draft pick compensation. We want our pound of flesh, and they wound up getting it. Even the Giants years ago, when they technically fired Tom Coughlin, but it was announced as him resigning, basically for him to honor him at least a little bit for what he had done. The Eagles interviewed him. They had to ask permission from the Giants to interview him. That's what's going to happen in this case as well.
And I think for this big news story, I give credit to Tom and I give credit to the Steelers for doing this and for seeing the room and for saying, hold on a second, let's make this move, step down, let go, whatever the hell it's called, because I think for something this massive, it's like there's universal approval. Even all Mike Tomlin's apologists and defenders, I don't even think even they this morning are saying, now hold on a second. Why? Everybody knows it was time, and if anything, it was past time. Because it's not just that they would get to the playoffs and lose. You can do, they lost 30-6. The last playoff game, they lost 2 touchdowns. One before that, they lost 2 touchdowns. One before that, they lost by 3 touchdowns. It was nothing. It was getting embarrassing. So it's like, you are in the playoffs, whoop-de-doo. It is an undignified product by someone who says the standard is the standard. And I credit him if it's a walk away. I credit Pittsburgh because they hate this. Pittsburgh hates this. And part of the reason they hate this is not only because they don't let go of their coach, they can't hire someone and 2 years later fire him. There is a standard, and the standard is whoever they coach next year will be coaching there in 2045. Like, that's what they want. So you can't have a whiff. It's a lot of pressure on the hire because they can't do it, oh, well, we made the wrong choice, let's get this guy. No, 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 no. This is a very difficult hire, and with that comes, okay, Mike Tomlin is gone. Aaron Rodgers is gone then. Aaron Rodgers is done. Aaron Rodgers is never coming to Pittsburgh without Mike Tomlin, whether they wanted him or not. That's the reason he was there. So the sub-headline of this is that a Mount Rushmore quarterback is done. I don't think there's another job for him. I think it's all over. On top of that, what's T.J. Watt's future? What's the whole situation? Because they have cap issues, contract issues, quarterback issues, age issues. Like, it's kind of a mess. So I don't even know what the Steelers look like next year, apart from who their coach is. But I do know that even if you are a towel-waving Steelers fan going back to the 70s or a young fan or someone in media, I don't hear anyone saying this morning, what are they thinking? It was the right move, and I applaud them for making it.
Yeah, and I also applaud the fact that yesterday on this show, Kyle, Willie Cologne's, when we asked him about this situation, he said, listen, the Rooneys aren't going to fire Mike Tomlin. This is a franchise that is going to, Mike Tomlin has to leave it. And so a few hours later, after he said that, this is exactly what happened. So it just goes to show that
this is not the only job that has to be filled, though. Not only does the Steelers have to navigate this appropriately, they are up against a lot of other teams that have to fill this exact role. And with that, we welcome Ian Rappaport back into GMFB. Rap Sheet, this coaching cycle is wild. January 2026, a lot of changes around the league. As we mentioned, we already saw Steve Bisciotti's reaction to this news. Should we start in Baltimore and work from there, or perhaps the name that just exited Baltimore?
Yeah, I want to start with a couple coordinators who lost their jobs yesterday. Some significant changes for some big-time teams, some playoff teams. We'll start with the Philadelphia Eagles, who made the decision to remove